A little bit of Slayer in the background.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick, and this is my video presentation for week 1 of UX design. I've got my good friend Marc here with me, whom has asked me to build a website for him and his product. Marc, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us what you're all about.
Hey guys, my name is Marc Bierlein. And it's really about bringing out the art of being in your environment, being there with the metal, with the oil, getting your hands dirty, and really feeling what it's like to connect with something on a different level. Get used to mechanics, get used to the smell of gasoline on your hands, and most importantly, know that it's going to be all okay because you're going to have the wind in your hair to air it out a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I get the sense that you're the kind of guy that's all about getting your hands dirty and really getting down to it. But if you wouldn't mind being a little bit more specific about your product.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about my philosophy in general. For me, it's the product that I'm working on and developing is I want to make an easy open avenue for people that have a little bit of vision but not a lot of know-how in terms of building their own beast, their own hog, what they're going to ride on, what they're going to represent themselves as.
Cool. So you mean motorcycles, right?
Of course.
Yeah, when you say beast or hog, you're talking about motorcycles.
I mean, there's nothing else.
Nice. Cool. So you build your own custom motorcycles then?
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was 6.
Nice. And you have your own business already?
I'm getting my feet off the ground, so
okay.
I'm really trying to get out to customers, letting them know what I'm about. I'm trying to make that transition into doing this a little bit more full-time. And it really starts out with creating a good brand, and the best way to do that is a solid website.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, and that's why you're talking to me, right?
Exactly.
We're going to build a website for you. So my next question then is what really are your goals for this website? What are you looking to accomplish with this website? I mean, are you going to generate sales or just kind of get more exposure?
I think the exposure piece is really important.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you got to make sales to make a business, to make it happen. It's not that I expect it just to pop like that. Obviously, that'd be a great way to go. But really, what I want to get some exposure. I want to be able to reach out into the hearts of a lot of men or women that are out there that have a vision but are just afraid about how to go about making it happen. And I want to be there I want this website to be a little bit of a door opener for them to say, hey, what you thought was that little glimmer of what you had in your mind is available. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's have some coffee or some beer, maybe some whiskey.
Okay.
And really, get to the meat and bones of it.
Sure. So kind of like using the website as like a touch point to really get the community involved or like build a stronger community of like-minded interests.
Yeah, I mean, like the community is kind of a tough thing in general, just because I'm kind of like isolating like a niche group of people that are there but don't see it as a possibility.
Sure.
So for me, I think I kind of want to have it be a little bit, some templates about some of the work that I've done or some of the things that I'm doing, and then maybe include something where it would just give them a brief idea so that it's like, hey, let's create a brief sketch and then let's come talk about it.
Okay.
So I want to kind of have it be a hook a little bit, not give them too much information, but let them know that like it's something available.
Where eventually the website would be like a starting point that would later lead to like a deeper conversation, like at a shop or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's kind of like, it's like when you hear, you're just imagine that you're in like a room and you've got like a couple of candles lit and whatever might be playing. Imagine your favorite song, and suddenly you just got like an epiphany of a bunch of ideas, and then you hear the sound, 2 beers opening. And you just feel so happy because someone is about to share a beer with you and listen to your idea.
I get that.
And I want to be the person that's opening the beers for them. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah. So you just want to make more connections, right?
I want to open that door. Yeah, open that beer for them.
Right on. I can respect that. I think that's really great. I think that's an awesome thing. I think that's a great use of the internet in general, is trying to make more connections. We live in an age where people see the internet and social media as this isolating tool, and using it in the opposite direction, I think, is a really awesome thing to do. I will ask though, do you think your goals would ever change in the future? Do you think they would ever mutate?
I can see them change. I mean, everything's got to evolve a little bit.
Sure.
If you're not evolving, you're not progressing, you're not moving forward, which means you're dead. I think the goal, once we have enough of those conversations going, maybe I'll give a speech.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be the one who's just leading, and I'll be putting out the builds and letting them buy them.
Okay.
I'll be the ones who's making the vision and painting the canvas, and they're coming in, looking at it in the museum and saying, that's me. This guy read me before he even knew me, and he's articulating who I am.
Okay.
That's where, this is a big goal, like
Sure,
longer change.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But it's good to have vision.
My plan is a little bit is that when I have enough conversations, I'll understand what people feel, what they see,
Sure.
and then I might be able to see it before they even had it in their mind.
Okay, yeah. All right, that's great. So, well, let's talk about your brand a little bit more. How would you identify your brand? If you had to put it into words, obviously you put yourself into a lot of your brand and what you do. But, if you were thinking about how you were presenting to that, if you think of your website as sort of like a first impression, how do you want people to perceive that?
Well, kind of what I'm still working on thinking of the brand a little bit, but I think I want to have our name be something like Blood and Canvas and Oil, or Blood and Oil and Canvas. I'm not sure exactly how I want it to roll off the tongue. Yeah, but I basically want people to think like if you had a canvas and you had nothing but blood and oil to paint on the canvas, what would that look like?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of, I don't know if you've watched those. I'm a big fan of them, but I've been going to a lot of those sip and painting classes. And man, I never thought I had artistic bone in my body. But after a couple glasses of wine, you'd be amazed by what you can create.
Right.
And for me, I just want it to be, a little bit more of that branding of like, if you were going to put your blood into something that ran on oil and you had an empty canvas, what would that look like?
All right.
So that's kind of my brand a little bit.
Okay. So blood.
Sorry, my pit bull is getting a little excited, kicking the table.
No worries. So blood, oil, canvas. I'm kind of perceiving that those are like three big sort of
because the canvas is like
target terms for you.
Like I want to open up the art thing,
Sure.
Blood and oil. Sure, it sounds kind of like
right.
I don't want to do that. I don't want
so
to get
it's a little
oil
gritty,
and blood together.
Little gritty, little aggressive,
but it's got that artistic spin to it,
Little
Let
raw.
you know it's available.
Sure, yeah. Hey man, I can respect that. It's not real. It's not worth anything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the world's your canvas. Just like I like oysters a lot too, but the canvas is just. I don't know about you, but if you've ever looked at a canvas,
I have.
You just want to put yourself into it,
right?
And for me, your blood is who you are, and the oil is how we get around in our lives. Without oil, we can't transport. That's how machines are.
Right.
It's the modern age, and the canvas is what are you going to do with it?
Right. So I'm getting the sense that you take a very deeply philosophical approach to what you do, and it's this very creative, kind of free-spirited sort of thing, but also very, very real, very intense, very serious.
Yeah, I don't want to be serious in the sense that I don't want to scare people away.
Sure.
But I want to let them know that I take your vision seriously.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I want to let you know that I'm listening to you and trying to tap into what your soul is telling me.
Sure. Okay. And when you say what do you see as your primary demographic, in terms of age or interests? I
want to be open to everybody because
Sure.
for me, I don't, opening yourself up to a new skill, a talent, being exposed to the air when you're on a motorcycle, it attracts certain people. There's a lot of those stereotypes, stuff like that. People that are tough, a lot of Harleys, vroom vroom, stuff like that.
Sure, right. There's already an established culture.
Yeah, there's that culture,
obviously.
but I want to let them know that hey, we can do something.
Mm-hmm.
But at the other end, I want to be appealing to the person that has always looked at a Harley go by, or whatever it be, loud pipes and all, and said, I wonder what that's like.
Mm.
And I want to be the one that says
Sure.
that. Let me show you.
Okay, sure. Well, actually, that's a great segue, because I kind of want to talk to you about, if we're talking about this established culture already, thinking about sort of the competition, right? There's a lot of stereotypes and perceptions about motorcycle culture, and where would you see yourself as kind of being different from that? Is there any kind of niche that you think you would occupy?
I want to be the guy that when you were a kid, you always feared, never wanted to be the last person who got picked in dodgeball. you know, because you're just starting it off on a bad note, you know, and I want to be that guy that says, I'm going to pick the last kid first to make him feel better so that he plays a better game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a niche that I don't think anybody has before. It's like we always want to have conversations with the people that we know, and I want to be, you know, like I said, opening that beer and handing it to somebody that I've never talked to before.
Right. Like
and
said,
I want that person to
door.
say, yeah, let's make that happen.
Okay. So yeah, I guess if we were to translate that into your website, we have to, you know, kind of design it or construct it in the sense that it is very welcoming to those kinds of people that maybe feel like they were always the last person to be picked, you know, and they're maybe a little shy, maybe they don't feel like they're the right fit for that culture because they have those stereotypes. But you can kind of be the bridge between them.
Give it a try, you know.
Right. Here's
your canvas.
Right.
See what you got to paint, and then I want to have it like generate and send it to me. Then I'll kind of follow up with clients like that and say, hey,
help them help themselves.
Yeah, let's talk about this idea you had a little bit.
Okay.
See what it would be like to make it come to life.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, that's great. I think that's a really awesome goal. You know, talking about kind of like how to execute that, you know, like kind of getting into some rough sort of features of the site. Like, I mean, on the whole, when somebody like visits the website, what do you want them to be able to accomplish? I mean, like, what kind of information do you want them to be able to get? You know, what kind of education? Is this just like a networking kind of thing? Being able to find information about events that you might be having?
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of like a 4 or 5 fold, you know, different kind of headers of the website.
Okay.
You know, one would be them exploring their own canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe get to drag and drop, pick a couple options.
Oh, cool.
Create like a rough draft about what they were thinking.
Okay,
you know?
That's really neat.
With some color optimization, kind of some shapes, stuff like that.
Right, just like something basic where they can kind of I mean, that's something that's definitely. I mean, that's a great idea.
Then maybe just an overall art gallery, you know, that kind of focuses on the culture and the feel, because you know you can't just say. Sometimes you got to inspire a little bit. So maybe just some images of inspiration before you get there, or if like you need some help, and then maybe an example of some of the work that I've done in the past, and then like a little bit of a page because I like to have a couple of workshops.
Right. So portfolio of your own.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
So like a portfolio, a little bit of like kind of like an image feed, a little bit of a customize your own, and then
I think that's
an events
a great
page.
idea. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great tool for, you know, getting people to get inspired. At least just that, like, a first little spark, you know, as I imagine it. You know, getting them to mess around, play around a little bit, even if just in a virtual environment, because ultimately that funnels into something deeper, or at least ultimately that's your goal.
Plan.
Right.
That's the plan.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, considering, like, where your goals go in the future, would you ever see like e-commerce, like doing sales on your site as any kind of thing, whether that's
I think it'd be
just basic merch or full-on bike parts, or
I mean, it's a journey, you know.
Sure.
We'll see what happens, but you know, I would like to eventually start to brand myself and apart from just a service, you know, because a lot of places that do things, they sell the brands, you know. You go to a place, you like their beer, you buy their T-shirt, you drink your beer out of their mug. You know, and so I want to be, you know, creating maybe a little bit of jewelry, stuff like that.
Okay.
Stretch myself a little bit. You know, there's a lot of maybe let people that are into that, you know, kind of bridge that gap between the masculine and the feminine, things like that.
Okay.
And then eventually, you know, if in my work I find a unique part and a unique spin, be able to sell that, but nothing too big.
Okay. Sure. Right. Baby steps. Like that's something that's probably a little bit more long term, but okay. Right on. What about like, I mean, when we think about a website, we think about like how often like the content gets updated, and the biggest thing that comes to mind when we think about that is like a blog. Do you see there being like any kind of blog feature that you yourself would contribute to, or anybody else?
I mean, the goal would be I would like to have a success stories page, you know.
Okay.
Once I can start, it's like, here's a conversation we had, and here's the result. Could this be you?
Right.
What would our conversation look like?
Sure. Right, and this would be like, these stories would be something that either like you would upload yourself, or you know, you could have additional contributors.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, you know, there's obviously like client confidentiality, but
sure,
if we finish something and somebody's happy with it, it's like I would just want to ask them, you know, can I share your story?
Right. Okay. Rad.
And I would
Nice.
hope that they'd want people to know their story.
Right. Yeah.
Because my idea would be like, let's talk about a conversation.
You want to create something that these
Maybe
people
somebody
are
else
proud
wants to
of,
talk
right?
about it.
I mean, if your website can be a vehicle for them to sort of display that achievement,
Yeah.
all the better. I think that's great. Kind of still on the content question. I mean, we can have these success stories, and obviously you're going to have a portfolio type of thing on there. So there'll be a lot of photography. What do you think about like video content? Do you ever see like any sort of video stuff, whether that's just you guys working in the shop or anything educational, tutorials, things like that?
Maybe not tutorials, but I think it'd be kind of cool to provide like almost like a journal or a blog update. Like,
Okay.
hey, here's some of the stuff that I'm working
Sure.
on. Or like if you had a success story, say here's what we started with, here's what we ended with. Kind of chronicle that, because I think that when you add in the movement and the sound of somebody's voice, which you can't put in a photograph, I think that would make it more relatable.
Sure, right. Yeah, there's definitely a deeper connection to be had with video content. That is a proven thing for sure. That's why video dominates the web these days, for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, in terms of implementing the site or having it ready, do you have any kind of expectations? Are there any kind of like deadlines or targets that you're trying to hit? Like, how soon are you looking to have?
I mean, I think I want to get a skeletal. Like, I want to get the skeleton out there.
Okay.
First things first, then we can.
Sure.
We'll start with the skeleton, and that's got
Right.
everything you need. It's got the hands, the fingers, the toes, the skull.
Right.
And then I think piece by piece,
Sure.
we'll just add muscles.
Right, and that's how we'll work throughout the development process. We'll do it in different iterations, right? We'll kind of work with some design concepts, move on to a prototype.
I mean, like even
Let
if
you
we
test
had
it
like,
out at every
if
stage.
we had like, all right, we got most of the skeleton here, but that left arm is coming soon.
Right.
Like
Sure.
you can see that it's there because the bones are there.
Right.
But like we're still working on the muscles.
Okay. Yeah,
That protein takes a while to synthesize. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I totally get you. It's important to communicate to your users, like what the status is.
And then it's also kind of like
your
a
project.
dot, like check
Coming
back.
soon, right? Yeah, leaving wanting more. I
don't
like
know.
it.
When
I'm
will
on the
it
same
happen?
page. Nice. As far as design considerations go, I mean, what would you think? Like, what are your ideas in terms of the aesthetic? Are you looking for something classic, something modern, fun? You don't strike me as a very reserved individual.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to scare people off to think that it's too much of something that like a conversation they can't have.
Right.
You
want like lots of flames.
like
and
I like
explosions?
art a lot. A lot of people like are surprised when I tell them some of my favorite artists and stuff like that. And it's just like the art world. Everybody's like, oh, I don't get it. I don't get art. Doesn't matter. Do you like it or do you not like it? So I don't want to be too like exclusive. Like,
Right.
hey, we're not too tough. It's more about like that canvas. So
Right.
I'm thinking
More
like
inviting, more relatable.
yeah, I want to say, how do you feel when you have a conversation about something that you thought? Like, how do you talk about a vision? So the aesthetic would be something that's a little bit more kind of simple, minimalistic.
Okay.
Like, make it your own.
Sure. Kind of, again, going back to that blank canvas sort of thing. Okay. All right. We can definitely work with that. Cool. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, really the last question that I had for you, like, and I have a pretty good idea, but, like, how would you define success of the website? What would make this a successful website for you?
I want their friends to. I want to be the person that, in the middle of a day, on like, when somebody's in the office and it's like a Wednesday at like 3:00, and you're like, oh man, I want to make it through the next 2 hours and 2 days. And you get an email from your best workmate, and it's like, hey, check this site out. Maybe let's go there this weekend. My success will be if somebody's excited to share that conversation with somebody else, and then have it with me.
Okay.
That's how I'll know I've won.
So again, just kind of like building that community.
Starting that conversation.
Yeah.
The community will come later.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, are there any concerns you have about the project moving forward? Anything you want to get on the table?
I want to figure out a way that, if somebody's doing a Google search, like, I wanna have it so that not just custom motorcycles or like Harleys or choppers.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be like, how do I make something?
Mm-hmm.
Or how do I become an artist? Or what does it mean like to feel? I want to come up on those kind of things.
Okay.
Because that's my only concern is like, how do I open my arms wide enough so everybody knows I want to give them a hug?
Sure. Well, it's good that you mentioned Google search because, I mean, in every project that we do, search engine optimization is a big factor of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been reading about that a little bit. It's kind of confusing for me, I didn't do a lot of computer stuff. I get an idea of it,
if you can,
but that's the thing that I want. I don't want it to be like searching for this, and then it's like, okay, only this thing. I want it to open up to people that never thought it was really an option for them.
Right. Sure. Well, I think you have a very good idea of who your target personas are. Like, and if you can put yourself in their position when they do come to Google or any other search engine for that matter, like having that perspective already is going to be huge in the deployment of it, and it's something that we can revisit multiple times throughout development.
Yeah.
So that's really great. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We'll
Thank
be talking in the near future.
Let's
hope.
hope.
Pleasure meeting you.
Let's hope you get the opportunity to talk to me in the near future.
I hope so.
So we've got something that's going to make me want to talk to you.
All right. Fair enough. So
I'll let you open up that beer for me. I want to see where we go from there.
Fair enough. I'll have beers with you any day, Mark.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Pleasure.